Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89, or at least my favourite profile picture. Yeah, Magic the Gathering. Apparently there's a character in that called Aragorn who was white, who's now black, and everyone's upset about it. Now, they did the same thing over the Lord of the Rings, having, the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings series based on the series as opposed to an actual adaptation of anything from the novel series. People got upset about that, and for the most part it was just racism, people who just didn't want representation, didn't want people of colour in their entertainment because they just want the world to be white. And there were also some people who legitimately had issues with changing canon because the character was white, but unless, the character's race is part of their identity and specific to them, there's really no issue why you can't change the race of a character. If it's a reboot or a new reimagining or a new version, that's fine. If you've already established someone, like in Star Trek, where they've established Robert April is white, and then they made him black in Strange New Worlds, and they're trying to say that's canon. It's like, well, unless that guy used modern technology to actually change his race, it's not canon because he was white and now he's black. And the same thing with Commander Kyle. They made him Asian when he was originally white, and like again, unless that person used Federation technology to change their race, that's not consistent with canon. Now, I don't know anything about Magic the Gathering. I know nothing except it's some kind of game. I think it's a card game or a desktop game or something. I have no idea. A computer game? I have no idea. Maybe it's available on all mediums. I have no idea. But apparently they changed the white character to black and everyone's upset. And most of those people are racist and the rest are just purists. And there is some... there's some level of respectability to the purists because, if something was established, it really should be sort of contained. But if you do want diversity and representation and you want your shows that are based on old properties to be more relevant and to reflect today and actually, be more appealing to the general, public and population, you kind of do need to grow and adapt. And if, like I said, if the characters... race isn't specific to the character, then there's no reason why they can't just cast the best actor. And if that person's black or Asian or Puerto Rican or Indian or whatever, if they're the best actor for the role and their race doesn't define the character, there's no reason why they can't have diverse casting in shows. And the people who really, really are adamant against that are usually racist. And like the others are just purists who, there's a line where there's a line where things should be adhered to, and then there's a line where you can be flexible. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with this, but I just thought it was curious because when I first heard it, I thought this was a character from Lord of the Rings, from the picture, and I thought, oh, so they're announcing in season 2 that they've swapped the race of another character because they put black people in Rings of Power. Or was that Game of Thrones? No, Game of Thrones had the black family. I'm getting them all confused now. I can't tell Game of Thrones from Rings of Power, from Magic the Gathering, just from pictures and that and stories online. But that's what I thought it was. I thought it was Rings of Power. I thought, oh, they've race swapped someone else. They're all going to get upset, of course. But we've already established that there are different races in Lord of the Rings now, so I don't know why they'd be upset. And then I'm like, oh, it's about this other show, Magic the Gathering. Oh, it's a game. Oh, okay. I have no idea what this is. But the reaction's the same. The racism's the same. Being a Star Trek purist, I can understand people wanting, the new shows to adhere to canon and be respectful. Now, it depends on if it's supposed to be the same universe as something that's already been established. If it's a remake or a reboot or a new universe, then it doesn't really matter. You can do it if you want. And the two things are separate. But like with Star Trek, where they're trying to tell us it's the same universe, but yet everything's different, and they just expect us not to be intelligent enough to see that or not care enough to see that and be able to just ignore it and sort of buy into the show, even though it's totally inconsistent with the show that we were watching before. So I'm not sure it's the same situation with Rings of Power or Magic the Gathering or Game of Thrones, because that was established as a book series, but this is the TV version, so it's not the same as having a TV show and then changing between seasons or between spin-offs. The characters, that's sort of different, which is what they did with Star Trek. So, yep. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Feel free to give me a bit of information about Magic the Gathering. I know nothing about it. I've heard it talked about before, and I'm like, oh, so there's another game other than Dungeons and Dragons and another sort of medieval fantasy property aside from this. Like, all I know is there's Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Conan, Magic the Gathering, and I think I've already forgotten one in that spiel. I'm over 5 minutes now. I got to stop talking. Yep. Feel free to let me know what the game's about, and if this is an issue or not. If Aragorn being black is an actual issue, does he need to be white for any specific canon reason, or is it just, closed-minded people who don't want to move forward, and are being unreasonable, or I don't know, but we know there's a percentage of the race population that's racist, and is always going to have this reaction, no matter if it's good, no matter if it's a good or bad decision.